Father, peace everyone. We have someone here for the first time from the area, is it Chicago, the city of Chicago. And he has been considering Father's teaching for quite some time. And he came to know Father, I guess, through Walter Lanyon. Did you come through Walter Lanyon?
Yeah, that's when I first
That's very nice. And so he's here for the first time. This is Mr. Haskell. What's his first name? Ronald Haskell. He was very anxious to be here to share this special event with us. So we'd be very happy to hear from you, Mr. Haskell.
Peace, Father, and peace, Mother. Peace to everyone. I am genuinely speechless at this moment. My first contact with Father Divine was on a TV program through public broadcasting. I came from a metaphysical church, Unity Church, for those, and studied the teachings of Charles Fillmore. And on this TV program, they did a 60-second soundbite about Harlem during the 1930s. And in that series, they had a soundbite of Father Divine. And I heard enough of what he said within that 60 to 90 seconds to know that this man had something. And it was something that was, I'm not sure how many people, obviously others knew about him as well, his followers. I read Walter Lanyon. Some of you may or may not have heard of him. He wrote a book called The Eyes of the Blind. And I got a copy of the book, as I told Mother. I got a copy of the book. And I read the book and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Then I later found through some of his other writings that that book that Mr. Lanyon wrote was dedicated to Father Divine. But the copy of the book that I had made no mention of Father Divine. And I found that to be somewhat strange. So, you know, when your consciousness is ready for a thing, it doesn't rest until you find it. And what I did, or what happened, what I was led to do, I called the Library of Congress because I was wondering why, you know, in the concordance that I saw, why did they, this particular edition of the book, why did they omit any reference to Father Divine? So what I did, I was able to get a copy of the book that was originally written and published in Britain by Walter Lanyon. And in the foreword of the book, they dedicated it to Father Divine. And in the current book, the one that I had, there was a chapter in that book that was omitted. It's chapter 18 of the book. And the title of the chapter was Father Divine. And they never put it in this particular book that I had. So what I did, I got a copy of the book from the Library of Congress, and I photocopied just that chapter and the foreword of the book. And it was the most remarkable thing, because Walter Lanyon said that he had never met a man like Father Divine.
That's right.
He said he had never met a man like that. And one of the things he cited in the book, Father said, if you see me as a man, do not call me Father. And that, for some reason, that stuck with me. And I brought a copy of that, which I like to present to Mother. And there was another book that was written by Walter Lanyon, and it's no longer available, but there's a source here in the United States where you can get it, and it's called Behold the Man by Walter Lanyon. And that too was dedicated to Father Divine, and which was published in London in 1933 and 34. So I said all of that to say this, that for a man, for Father Divine to send teachers out like that, and who could write like that, says something to me about Father's consciousness. And I must admit, this was my first time here, and when I walked in the hotel, Brian Tracy, and I heard Father's lesson sermon this morning. You know, I'd been up all night because I worked, and then I got on the plane and came out here. But when I heard Father's lesson sermon, something really stuck. And when I walked on these grounds, you could feel his consciousness.
Yes, you can.
On these grounds. And I'm not one that's given to emotion, but I'm at a loss for words because some things you just cannot describe. Because if you could describe it, you could limit it. And this is an unlimited state of consciousness. Thank you. Thank you.
So much about Walter Lanyon. Could you just let the people know what kind of a person he was? I mean, he was really a prominent person on the lecture field.
Yes, he was. Walter Lanyon was a metaphysician. He was formerly a Christian Scientist. He started out in the Christian Science Church. And I'm not sure, I know he met Father in the 30s. And he said in the foreword of his book, that he had never met a man quite like Father Divine. But he was metaphysical. Walter Lanyon was a metaphysician.
Yeah.
And he has written several books.
And lectured extensively.
And lectured extensively in England and in the United States. And
in Europe.
Yes, England and Europe, yes. And there was also another gentleman, and I mentioned the mother earlier, named Joel Goldsmith. And he too was a Christian Science practitioner. When I left the Unity Church, I studied Joel Goldsmith's writings. And Joel Goldsmith was a mystic, a 20th century mystic. He has since made his transition. But one of the things he talked about on a tape, he did a tape called Spiritual Supply. And he said during the Great Depression, there were three groups of people who never suffered any lack during that time, during the Great Depression, while others were just starving and trying to make ends meet. He talked about the Christian Scientists, Mary Baker Eddy's people, and he said the Mormons, but he said, most of all, Father Divine's people. They never lacked anything during the Depression. And he stressed that. He said Father Divine had something. One of the things he mentioned about it, at this time he was Joel Goldsmith was a Christian Science practitioner. And one of the things he said was that when he was a Christian Science practitioner, the Christian Science Church was quite concerned because they were losing members to the peace mission movement. And he was on the board of directors at that time. And they sent Joel Goldsmith to talk with Father Divine. And according to Mr. Goldsmith, he just came out directly and asked Father, he said, what is it that you have that we don't have in the Christian Science movement? And he said, Father Divine looked him in the eye and he said, well, you guys at the Christian Science movement are healing bodies. Here we don't have any bodies to heal. And it stuck with me and I didn't quite understand. And later it came to me, what Father was saying is, there is no body to heal because you're perfect, whole, and complete. But the moment you recognize that and accept that, that's when the healing takes place.
That reminds me when Ford was it Ford in the way about the deal was sending the money, wanted to donate to Father's work. And the check was sent back to him and said there was no poor, for Father feeding the poor. Father said there's no poor here.
Yeah.